Welcome to episode 216 of the Lone Hockey Podcast. So today we're going to be talking about some standouts in last night's matchup between Utah and Washington, and we're going to be talking about some standouts from that game. And I felt like it was a really entertaining game. And actually, Utah, they ended up taking this one in a shootout. It was back and forth all game long. Utah was producing, and even in the midst of losing some guys, like obviously they've dealt with some injury issues and but Dylan Gunther's back now, and he's been playing really good hockey as of late. He's been just so effortless with the puck on his stick. He's been so in control in the rush. He's been dynamic in transition. He's been so electric to watch in terms of his handling skill, how he processes situations, and how he's able to also anticipate situations as well. And when it comes to Dylan Gunther's game, the biggest talking point is his shot threat ability, and obviously he's an elite scorer, proven scorer in the league, and just continues to get better game by game in terms of how he produces and how he generates offense. And just a guy who's really electric to watch when it comes to offensive habits and how he's producing as well. And he's doing a lot of good jobs, or has done a good job of being able to create from interior space and being able to generate shots from there as well. And a guy who can be reliable in those spaces and just be an all facets type of player and in all situations type of player. I feel like that's what he's starting to evolve into. He can be a lethal offensive weapon, but I feel like over the course of his career, he's going to really develop into a better defensive player as well. So some other standouts on Utah, I thought Josh Stone was really good. Jack McBain looked really good as well. Those are two guys who are really interesting in terms of their competitiveness, their work ethic, and they bring above average skill. Like they're both players who can score and also make plays and do a little bit of everything. So reliable in that sense. And then Michael Carcone was really good and kind of relates to those two guys in a sense with how he's able to use his work ethic and competitiveness to really grind guys down and get pucks loose and be able to get pucks back and forecheck with pace, tenacity, purpose, and just be involved in a lot of situations. And Clayton Keller, another player who's really exciting to watch in this game. When you think of Clayton Keller, you just think of the raw puck skill, the Patrick Kane-like ability in terms of how he handles the puck, how he maneuvers one-on-one, how he's able to create space for himself, how he's able to problem solve situations with the puck. Just an electrifying player to watch when he's at his best, and he can really dangle you through a phone booth when he's handling the puck on his stick. He finds so many unique ways to be able to get out of pressure, and especially doing it in small space, it can be difficult sometimes to do, but he does it so seamlessly. Part of it has to do with his smaller limbs, given that he's, I believe, 5'10". So him being a smaller, more agile player allows him to be a little bit more elusive in that sense. So definitely something he uses to his advantage. And then on Washington side, Alex Ovechkin, ironically, he was more of a playmaker in this game. He had 3 assists, and when you talk Ovechkin, you don't usually talk about his past first game as much, but he generated a lot of assists. He was really noticeable as a passer, really noticeable at creating pucks and trying to work to get pucks back, being able to create shot volume as well. And obviously, he's going to get multiple shots every single game, so it's just bound to happen with him. But he just does a good job consistently trying to get shots on net and trying to create volume. So he was noticeable from that perspective. And then two guys who are very similar to each other stylistically, Tom Wilson, Pierre-Luc Dubois, were both excellent throughout this game. Tom Wilson with 2 goals, Pierre-Luc Dubois with one, Tom Wilson with 3 points, and PLD with two. So both played very similar games. I feel like when you notice the competitiveness, you notice Wilson more. When it comes to skill, you notice Dubois more. Dubois has just I feel like, and I talked about it in my article today, I feel like that one year playing mostly third and fourth line minutes last year in LA actually really helped him get better because this year you look at his checking ability and his checking ability has improved in tandem with his ability to use his offensive skill set. So he's able to check well on top of being able to provide an offensive skill set. So that's really unique when it comes to him. And obviously, he had a bit of a down year last year, but that's in the past. And just in terms of how he checks and his detail and attention to detail when he's checking, I feel like that actually improved his game coming into Washington this year, which is something I didn't even think about until now, and just how he can evolve his game that way. So it was really interesting to watch. I feel like his checking ability is somewhat underrated, and you don't necessarily notice him as much as a checker because he's more prone to offensive habits and just being involved in the offense all the time. They don't really notice him as a checker and think of him that way. And then Dylan Strome was really good. I thought when you think of Washington right now, Dylan Strome's just been rolling and just continues to generate offense, continues to be a playmaker, continues to thrive on his past first game. And he can be a guy that's very reliable up and down the lineup, very reliable in your top six as a center. He can play wing sometimes as well. Very reliable on the power play now, and has really evolved into more of a almost 70-point guy and has sort of tapped into the potential that Arizona thought he had when they drafted him back in 2015. And now that potential has been surging in Washington the last few years. So with Dylan Strom, obviously a unique story with him. It took him a little bit longer than others to be able to develop fully. I feel like now he's really starting to dig into what he could be. I wouldn't be surprised at some point in the near future and in future seasons if we see him hit 80 or 90 plus points if he continues the consistency that he's at right now. And then I thought Connor McMichael was steady, but I really like Jacob Chikrin once again playing against his former team and playing against the team that he used to play on when he was in Arizona. And he just looked really reliable in transition, looked really steady there. I thought he was really active and was really noticeable at being able to be involved offensively, but also defensively, be a shutdown player, defend stick on puck, defend with his body, shut down plays on the perimeter, and being able to close gaps efficiently was something that he was doing a really good job of throughout this game, and he was doing a really noticeable job of. I felt like when you talk about Chikrin, when you think of Chikrin, you think of his gap control and you think of his transition ability. Like those are two things that really come to mind when it comes to him. And arguably a third, his skating ability as well. I feel like that's another one that really stands out when it comes to his game and how he plays. And obviously when it comes to Chikrin, he's very noticeable as an all-around defenseman. That's the strong point of his game, his ability to not only play an offensive game, but play a two-way game in tandem with his transition play as well.